How bad is the test? Test, test. Thanks, Brian. All right, so there's a little bit of latency. I'm watching the feed right now, and the only reason I'm caveating that is if you have questions, I imagine then it's going to take me a little bit of time to get back to you on the questions. So I apologize if my responses are delayed. I think the chat is real time, so um, chat might be faster. Just a couple more minutes and then we'll start. If you have, oh, here, I'll put the links in the chat actually. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, I'm new to this technology. This unfortunately didn't allow me to share the link for the presentation to LinkedIn via the chat. But if you go to the meeting, the link to the presentation is there. Just a little bit longer and we'll kick off. Thank you for joining. First off, I'm super stoked. This is my first time I've ever done a live class. So I apologize in advance for any glitches or anything that is just clumsy. Okay. Well, I think we'll kick it off. So thank you so much for joining. I'm West Stringfellow, and today we're going to be going over market validation, which glitch number one. Oh man, just a second. I don't know what happened. Boop. There we go. Oh no, why is it not showing up? Oh goodness me. I am so sorry. This is so embarrassing. It, oh, it's showing up for you. It's not showing up for me on my end. All right, we'll work with it. So if you can see it, that's it. We'll go. So we're going to go over market validation today. There are two kind of chunks to this class. One is just going through the process of how you validate your market. And the second will be deep diving into AI. I've done like a really robust analysis of the AI market, and that'll help give you some context as to whether or not AI is a credible market to invest in. And the reason that I'm doing all of this, the reason that I'm doing business evolution and have been creating Howdo for the last 7 years is this one primary statistic. 90% of startups and innovations fail. And, you know, I've been innovating my whole life. And when I had the opportunity, I thought the best way I could give back would be to help people reduce failure. And to succeed, there's a lot of steps you have to take. But one of the first steps that many people miss is just to validate the market. In the previous course, we validated the technology. We'll go over that in a second. But today, we're going to dive into validating the market, because if you look at the statistics, the number one cause of failure for new products, for new startups, for new companies is that there's no market. And just quick introduction. I know you know me, but I've been in innovation my whole career. I had the really good fortune of working with a lot of incredibly brilliant people from whom I've learned everything. And so, what I'm presenting here is really just the summation of a lot of intelligent people that I got to work with. I won't read this, but suffice it to say, this just summarizes everything that I've said. And in particular, it calls out that one of the primary reasons that you want to validate the market is because it helps build your credibility, first with yourself. So you feel confident investing in the market that you want to invest in for innovation or for a new product, startup, whatever. But also with your investors. The more that you know about your market, the easier it is to raise capital. And this market validation exercise is just one small part of a much larger masterclass series that I created. It breaks out into 4 different sections. This is what I'll be going over through the next couple weeks with the topic of AI. Now, specific to AI and the journey that we're on right now, in the last class, which wasn't live, it's available for YouTube or available on LinkedIn. We went through, is AI a credible technology? And there's a lot of conversation in the market right now, especially in particular, like right now, with the softness in the stock market, we're seeing some of the big tech companies have their prices fall pretty dramatically. I think one of the things that Wall Street it doesn't appreciate sometimes is how long it takes for new technology to really gain traction, and how much you have to spend to get that new technology in the market. And the example I always think of from my personal experience is when I was at Amazon, I had the good fortune to be on a product manager on the launch team of Amazon's digital video product. And we launched that in 2006. And most people didn't watch a video on Amazon probably till 2012, 2015. And, that's a huge amount of time that it took for that technology to get into the hands of the customer, the hearts and minds of the customer, and ultimately for the customer to want to spend their money on it. But without that 10 years of investment, Amazon wouldn't be the dominant force in content that it is today. And so, investing in innovation, especially new tech's a long-term investment. And so we're going to go over again, just kind of two principal things. How do you validate your market? Then I'm going to quickly align the validation process with popular frameworks, and then we'll dive into the validation itself. So what is market validation? Market validation is simply an iterative process that checks if people want your product or business idea before you spend time and money developing it. And it helps you understand your potential customers and can make it easier to get funding to support your idea. Market validation is the primary reason that products fail, that transformation fails, and that new businesses fail. And think about it. If you build something that no one wants, it's not going to succeed. And a lot of the entrepreneurs and startups that I talk to, a lot of the big companies that I talk to, sometimes believe very stringently in lean startup. And there's nothing wrong with lean startup. It's an excellent framework for innovation. One of the challenges is that it encourages people to go build something before they validate that something should exist. And all market validation is a quick set of questions to make sure that the market is large and growing before you invest your time and money. And in particular, if you're trying to build something new in a company, your credibility. If you go to the C-suite and you try to pitch to raise money and you say this is the way the market's going, and then you're wrong, it's going to be very hard to raise money again. Likewise with investors. So we're just going to use insights derived from research to refine our idea before designing and building it. We're going to find the unmet customer need in the data, and then we're going to use that data to make decisions to drive towards financially sustainable growth. And in particular, in the era of capital that we're in right now, where we're no longer in the zero interest rate paradigm and capital is more expensive, it's more important than ever to validate our market. So the quick way that we validate the market is there's a process here, but I'll just walk you through the flow of it. We research the market, which is simply gathering secondary research. So running queries on Google or AI. We just record our notes and insights. We reflect and ideate to try to figure out where the market viability is and how we can build something that goes into that market. And then we refine our pitch. And I'm a huge believer in pitching, the art and discipline of pitching an idea. And very often people are excellent at pitching a point solution, but they may miss pitching the market. And I love figuring out how to pitch the market because that's where the big visions come from, the big money comes from. And it's not all about money, but I always see money as a evidence that we're right, that we got the right solution. And so I generally repeat this process quite a few times until I have the confidence to then go speak with customers. And I've shortcut this a couple times and just gone and talked to the customer before I really understood the market. And talking to a customer who knows more about the market is an instantaneous way to lose credibility with that customer and lose the ability to get insights from that customer to drive your product. And so just to double click on this process, how do you validate the market? Well, again, it's just research. Now, I've created a document, and I'll try to share it here, and I apologize that this doesn't work. I've created a document that that walks through specifically how to validate the market. And this document is, I'm just going to confirm. Yeah, you can see it. Good. This document is for free on Google, and it's just a step-by-step process. You can walk through it very, very quickly that allows you to find the information that you need in the ether, again, for free, and pool your insights. I created this document based off my experience as a research librarian. I spent a lot of time researching. My first work study job was literally teaching people how to do internet research. And so I just kind of structured a process here that gives you the overall steps, the individual steps, kind of key sources to find the big market players, what kind of data you're looking for, how to analyze them. And then I give you a big list of data sources that I find most useful so that you can get started with your research today if this is something you want to do. And I apologize, I'm just going to change the input source here. Place window. I'm sorry, I'm not smooth at this. I promise I'll get better. As we're going through the research, once we've identified the sources, we just collect insights. And collecting insights is just copying and pasting. I have a huge document that I created for AI. It's just messy as anything. It's over 280 pages of just facts that I screenshot and dumped into a document. And then what I do at the end of each research paper that I read or each report that I read is I go through all the curated insights and I categorize them by topic. Like this one is about enterprise, or this one is about small merchants, or this one is about consumers, or stuff like that. And then I read the notes document again and again to just kind of absorb the data and start really thinking about what are the trends that I'm seeing. And I'd make little notes in that document to annotate what seem to be patterns or insights that can help me find the true market. And then I start to pitch myself. I start to write a pitch as you would using, let's say, the Sequoia Better Business Model template, just so that I can understand what in fact I am selling, and repeat. And once I'm done and have a really clear vision of what the solution is, then I go talk to customers or the potential solution. So I'm going really quick. And if you have any questions, throw them in chat. But for market validation, a lot of people hear that process and they kind of reject it. They're like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. And I always point to the process for building products or solutions. And I don't care which process you use, if you're using lean, design thinking, business model canvas, startup owner's manual, or discipline entrepreneurship, it's a long journey. And when you look at the averages, it's about 7 to 10 years between when a product is launched and when you could consider it like a big market success. And again, that Amazon example is a good one because we launched in 2006 and no one was really using it for about a decade. And so when you think about the amount of time you're going to spend on that journey, especially in the early phases, the amount of risk and capital you're going to be spending, it makes sense to confirm there's a large and growing market before defining your idea. And so for Lean Startup, before we come up with the idea, we want to validate that the market is there and really understand the customer and their needs and what specifically could be the opportunity in that market. In the business model canvas, same thing. Before we fill this out, it's important to just go validate there is a market, it's large and growing, and we understand the customers. And when you think about it, So much of the business model canvas is really getting this value proposition down, the customer segments down. We're not going to be able to do that without data. For design thinking, and this is where when I propose this to people who are advocates for design thinking, I get some pretty strong pushback. And it's not to invalidate the process of design thinking, but rather to complement it. Like, the more that we know about the market and about the customer, the easier it is to empathize, the easier it is to go through the design thinking process. Same with the startup owner's manual. Everyone has a preference. I don't think any one of these processes is better than the other. The only good process is the one that works for you. I like the startup owner's manual, and in the startup owner's manual, the first step is actually to validate the market. Same with disciplined entrepreneurship. I'm a big fan of disciplined entrepreneurship. The work that they do at MIT to create this is fantastic. And again, the first step is to find the market. So, if you have any questions about any of that, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're going to dive right into the AI market validation. Now, this is a robust validation. This might be beyond many people's benchmark in terms of depth and in terms of precision. But I personally believe, again, that the more data I have, the more I understand where the customer is going, their current pain points, which are the opportunities, and then consequently where the money is going, how investors are seeing the market, the easier it is for me to find solutions therein and create things that stick. So I've been talking about the AI market, which is just so tremendously big. It's fantastic. But for the purposes of this deep dive, we're going to be diving into business AI, just for efficiency. It's the market I'm most familiar with. And it's also the one that's receiving the most investment right now. So I think it's hopefully the one that's the most useful to you. Now, typically when I'm presenting, I have to present to, or I shouldn't say have to, I get to present to very large corporations or investors who are going to invest significant amounts of money. And so, some of those people may have different degrees of interpretation of what AI is. And so I think it's really important to always align everyone on where are we? What are we actually talking about? Especially investors, because they have really strong hypotheses and thesis that they kind of potentially bias a lot of their thinking with, which is normal. But specifically for this analysis, we're going to look at generative AI. That's the zeitgeist thing that's buzzing right now. It's important to note that generative AI is not artificial intelligence writ large. I think there's a lot of people who believe LLMs are AI, is automation. It's a lot more nuanced than that. And there's dozens of generative AI capabilities. LLMs in the image and video processing or creation are just some of them. They're a subset of deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning, which is a subset of artificial intelligence. And if we were to have all the bubbles on here, the whole screen would be filled with the different capabilities. But specifically for generative AI, this is the nesting doll stack. I found this great graph from A16Z that talks about automation. And the reason I bring automation into this conversation right now is because as we go through the rest of the presentation, one of the things we'll see is that when executives talk about automation, and again, in business AI, executives are the buying customer. When they talk about AI, what they're really saying is automation. What they're looking for is to reduce costs, increase quality, accelerate things, and it's replacing work that is repetitive, that humans would otherwise be doing, and that's automation. And so as we think about AI, we're also thinking about automation. And where are we on the automation scale? We're at the very beginning. And that's exciting. It's exciting in one way because that's a huge market opportunity. It's also a scary conversation because we're talking about replacing human labor with robots, or machines writ large. But I would also say that, number one, it's a very long journey. We're going to have AI like AGI or artificial general intelligence or artificial super intelligence. I think those characterizations are hyperbolic. Every piece of research I've seen, and I've read read and watched hundreds of experts, we're a decade away from that kind of everything's automated. Now, in the near term, things that are very simple are going to be automated, but I'd just say look back at history. That's been that's been true for all disciplines, for farming, for manufacturing, for washing clothes, for washing dishes, for many things have been automated. This is just the natural evolution of technology in the economy. It's not going to be overnight. I do think people need to be preparing for it, ergo this presentation, but I don't think it's an imminent threat. And especially when you look at the levels of automation as we break this down, we're really at the attended part of automation. If you think about where a Tesla is, full self-driving is unattended, meaning that people have to manage the exceptions. So if the car starts to veer in one direction, the driver has to grab the wheel. That's managing an exception. And there are very few self-managed, self-healing bots that are capable of running a full process by themselves. For incredibly simple things, there are bots. But most of the time, humans are still involved to a vast majority of the time. 90+% of the use cases are covered by humans. Now, that said, is this a big and growing market? Yes. This data that I found from Bloomberg, I was so stoked when I found this. It's so rare to find a beautiful table like this. And this table is gorgeous because when you look at it, like the generative AI market, they break it out by all the different capabilities and the different segments. And what we see across the board is, number one, large market today and rapidly growing market. So the CAGR, the compound annual growth rate on all of these is phenomenal for the decade. It's a forecast, and sometimes these forecasts can be hyperbolic, especially with the media right now. Everyone's talking about AI, but I don't think 399 billion in revenue in 2027 is out of line. And then if we look at what's really coming in terms of capability development, 1.3 trillion in revenue by 2032, I don't, again, think that's out of line. Look back at cloud, look back at web services, look back at streaming media, look back at smartphones. At the beginning of all of those, you would have heard CEOs and investors and analysts saying, it's not going to happen. And those are huge today. All of those have created trillion-dollar companies, not just trillion-dollar markets. So I think this is very achievable. So now that we validated that the market is in fact large and growing financially, let's look at how people are using it. And this is why I thought the story got really interesting, because the stats around usage are very low. About a year ago, only 3% of businesses were using AI, 3.7%. And that's from the census, which is a generally reliable source. I mean, I'd say probably the best in terms of reliability source of data in America. But the growth rate is astonishing because you look a year later and it's almost doubled. That's fascinating. Very few. I've been in technology since 1997. I haven't seen anything that grows this fast. And that's the story for almost every AI product that finds traction, OpenAI being the most hyperbolic of those stories. Now, when we break the firm sizes, when we take that same data, the usage data, and break it out into firm size, we see a bit of a U shape. And again, I thought this was a tremendous insight, because what you see on the low end is that companies that are 1 to 4 in terms of employee size are using AI disproportionately more than the mid-range of companies. And then again, we see larger companies, kind of 250 and above, really using AI. Now, why is that? Why do the small, tiny companies and the big companies have the same kind of growth pattern? And my interpretation of the data here is that the small companies don't have a lot of money, and so they need to get a lot done with less. And so they're using AI to augment their workforce today, to accelerate their work today, to do a diversity of tasks today with less resources. And that's why small companies use AI. Interestingly enough, big companies are doing the same thing, but for a different reason. They're trying to cut costs. They have a lot of money and they need to spend less of it. And so same outcome, different input. What are people using it for? Found this great survey, and there's this document that's in the source here. Highly recommend you read. It's the AI Index 2024 annual report. one of the best pieces of research I found in several weeks of deep diving, and then also several years of just studying the sector. But what we see is that AI adoption is primarily focused on enhancing customer experiences, so like call center automation, personalization, improving service operations. So again, call centers, driving product innovation. And we have to kind of disambiguate this a little bit, because driving product innovation could mean we're going to make more innovative products. But what it really means in this context is we're like appending AI on a product. We're like taking Microsoft Word and putting AI in it, or taking Google and putting AI in it. And so it's not necessarily improving the core product's function, but rather augmenting the core product's function with AI. And then a broad range of applications across various business functions. And when we see, or sorry, when we ask, is this adding value? For companies that are doing it well, yes, it's actually adding tremendous positive impact. 50% of respondents report significant cost decreases, 60 to 60% report revenue increases, and the strongest returns are in manufacturing, service, and customer service facing functions. But again, speaks to the massive opportunity. Now, this is also great. I mean, when people say they don't want to use something that seems like it's going to get big, I really find like the negative feedback on the current product is a really big opportunity. So most people just don't think AI is applicable to their business, or they don't understand how to use AI, or they're concerned with its privacy, or they think AI needs to mature. Now, I totally agree with that. Now, AI not applicable to the business. This speaks to opportunity. These are areas where AI needs to be developed to better meet customer needs, and these like lack of knowledge and concerns about privacy and security, these are business opportunities. This is one of the most compelling stats that I found. Users versus non-users and the impact on business performance. AI users report 7.5% higher current performance and 17.2% higher future performance, which speaks to the transformative impact of business. And again, is why I'm bullish on this market long term. The company that use AI, again, just repeating, but here, isolating the broad market to just look at those who use AI. What we see is, again, it's marketing automation, data analytics, virtual agents, natural language processing, all the text and media related stuff. And we're starting to get into decision-making systems, which at the very bottom there, the 14%, I think that's where a lot of value is going to come from. I think we're going to see a tremendous amount of value creation from decision-making systems. Now, the businesses that we just looked at who are using AI, what changes have they made in their businesses to adapt to AI? They're developing new workflows. They're training existing staff. They're purchasing cloud and storage services, and they're making changes to their data collection and management. Each one of these rows is a business opportunity. So if you're trying to figure out what kind of product to build or service to build in AI, here's the wish list for businesses. This is what they're doing to adapt to AI, and therefore this is what we can do to create value for them. And 17% of the businesses that are using AI expect to hire vendors or consulting for AI. So again, market opportunity. Not all businesses are finding value. It's very important to highlight that. 40% of S&P 500 companies talked about AI, but only 13% were able to report value. The delta in performance there, I just see as an opportunity. Like that just means this problem is waiting to be solved. So let's zero into just generative AI. Use cases across the board are similar, and that's simply because the generative AI currently is such a large percentage of AI usage. The most common use cases by function are marketing and sales, product development, and IT. What I thought was a fascinating toggle, though, here is if we look back at marketing and sales, is 34% of 34% of people in the job function of marketing and sales at companies who use AI are using AI. But when we break marketing apart, we see it's a bunch of different use cases. Again, this speaks to limited product market fit currently and massive future potential. Of those seeking the benefit, are they benefiting? Yes. But it varies radically by expertise in AI. And this speaks to the opportunity in training people how to use AI and making AI simpler to use. So those who really know how to use AI have a very high expertise. 70% say it's helpful in improving existing products and services versus 28% who say it's not. That delta there is going to close. And as that closes, it's going to close one of two ways. We're either going to teach people how to use AI better, or we're going to make simpler products. That's a huge market opportunity. And you spread that across all of those, it's just enormous. Now, I put this data in here because a lot of the data sources that we looked at previously were big consultancies. They tend to focus on big customers. And so therefore, I wanted to just look this specifically at small customers. And what we see is alignment across the board. It's the same use cases, big and small. So again, big opportunity. And then finally, we looked at the usage, which is the dark blue, but I always find to look at, I think it's super fun to look at the people who aren't using it. Because what we see here is, again, enormous opportunity. 60% of the marketing and sales market has not used AI. Enormous. Product and service development, kind of the stuff that I do, 77% of the market hasn't seen the opportunity yet. This is enormous stuff. And if we start today, run the long race for the 10 years, we can create real businesses. And again, across the board, specifically with generative AI, people are facing challenges. And for every challenge, I see an opportunity. So they need to figure out how to use their data. They need to figure out how to govern what's the right risk or operating model. When you dive into what does strategy, talent, adoption, and scaling mean, a lot of that has to do with simply training. How do we plan for this? How do we teach our team for this? How do we get our team to use it and grow that usage? So when you think about training, that's something that we can do right now. And in fact, one of the things we want to do next week is just kind of open source some training so people can see how to get that going, because I think this is a huge business creation opportunity. So in conclusion, businesses of all sizes are using AI. It's still early in a fast and growing market. Business customers have a wide array of use cases. Most business use cases do not have existing solutions. They're using, like ChatGPT for marketing instead of a marketing product for marketing. And so 80% of businesses do not use AI, and that's massive long-term potential. So we've now validated the market at a commercial level, lots of capital going in, lots of forecast growth. We validated it at a big rock customer level, like large businesses, small businesses. Now let's just really zoom in on the buying customer. And so we'll focus on executives here. And we're going to focus on three in particular, the C-suite, just kind of execs writ large, and then CEOs and CFOs. And again, the reason that we're focusing on CEOs and CFOs is because in my experience, if you convince those two people that something needs to happen, it gets done. But let's start looking at the C-suite. 1,400 C-suite execs who were surveyed in 50 markets across 14 industries, 89% ranked AI and generative AI as a top 3 priority for 2024. That's enormous. 85% said they will increase their spending on AI in 2024. 66% are unsatisfied with progress. So you have tons of money going in, dissatisfaction. It's what we saw at the business level in the previous content. And at the bottom, all it's saying is, again, training. Execs need training, workers need training, and they need to learn how to securely deploy AI, which is a training problem. So we're seeing consistent patterns of demand, consistent problems. This starts to really help us understand the market so that we can really zoom in and find the specific value creating opportunities. So let's look specifically at CEOs and AI. CEOs ranked products and service innovation as their highest priority for the next 3 years, up from 6th place in 2023. I will say this, there is a reason that I am open sourcing How Do's innovation training, and it is this, because in my experience, all CEOs want innovation. Therefore, I think everyone should know how to innovate so everyone can go make money or build a company or build a service or whatever. Like, it's the biggest opportunity. And AI right now is just the trend, but innovation is the theme. 71% of CEOs, this is an IBM survey, so generally going to be mid to large size companies, but 71% have generative AI pilots, massive. And 64 are reducing their tech spend to get AI. I thought this was just an insane insight. 62% of CEOs said they were willing to take more risk than the competition to gain in a competitive edge using AI. I was in the fraud department at Amazon and PayPal and Visa. I built fraud products. And like, to hear that CEOs are like, yes, I want more risk. Like, I've never heard that. So like, that speaks to the tremendous opportunity in this market. And I don't know. I just find that so exciting because so often it's hard to sell people on new technology. And they're like, no, just give it to me. Big market. That said, lots of challenges. And I'm not going to read this whole list, but suffice it to say, if we were to distill this, the challenges are governance, training, data. The same themes we're seeing throughout are consistently reiterated cross data sources, cross customers, cross business sizes. Now, zooming into the CFOs, and this will be the last one that we look at. Great source of data, the Federal Reserve. They surveyed CFOs. In the last 12 months, has your firm utilized artificial intelligence to automate tasks? Yes, 55%. So strong adoption. Why? In the next 12 months, are you going to? 80%. So look at this. 55% last 12 months, 80% next 12 months. Growth. It's happening right now. Time to build solutions. And then what are they automating? Enhanced business processes. All that means that's CFO speak for automation. And what they're trying to do is really the third one there, which is reduce labor costs. The more that they reduce costs per unit of labor, the more they get output, which is the increase quality output and increase output quality and increase output quantity. Those are all the same kind of toggle and variable there. And it speaks to the environment that we're in from a capital perspective. Like 5 years ago, interest rates were 0, which was a 2,000-year low. And so you didn't really need to worry about these things. Now we need to worry about these things. And so CFOs want AI. So in conclusion, have we validated the business AI market? Yes, the market is large and growing fast. Many customers are using AI. Customers have a diverse set of use cases. Many customers express a desire for more AI, and there are many challenges to be overcome. And I just see those as huge opportunities. So yes, we've validated the AI market, and the next steps are to brainstorm ideas and to talk to customers. And so, as I mentioned, it seems like there are kind of 3 major opportunities that just kind of trended along there: training for team, governance, and data. Training is something that everyone can do. If you know how to use AI, you can train people how to use AI. And so I'll start open sourcing, like kind of product testing, some training. But if you dive into the training data that we looked at, one of the insights that you see is it's not just about AI. I thought this one piece of data that they talked about. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I should have mentioned it here. Yeah, 48% of competition among their C-suite sometimes impedes collaboration. That is, and 57% admit cultural change is more important to becoming a data-driven than tech challenges. These are cultural problems. So if we simply focus on teaching people how to use AI, but we don't change the culture, we don't change the team dynamic, we don't help people feel confident and comfortable changing the way they work, interacting with technology different, which are culture changes, then we're not going to be effective in deploying AI. And so as I think about like what are the value propositions that we can bring to life today, training is one of them, for sure. But as we think about training, it's not just training AI, it's training culture, it's training people, it's training change writ large, because that's what we're getting ready to do with AI. And so I'm going to brainstorm some ideas over the next couple days. I'll share those publicly. And then I'm going to try to interview some customers. I've interviewed about 30 people from Silicon Valley at Meta, Amazon, Google, lots of companies, my peers. And it's funny, almost none of them use AI. And so again, there's this crazy dichotomy, and I want to try to be able to bring that to life in public because they didn't want to be filmed. But I'll be reaching out in public to see if anyone wants to be interviewed. So I hope this was productive. I hope you join me and stick around as we keep driving this forward. And yeah, that's it for today. I'm sorry that went longer than I intended. I hope you found that productive. And if you have any questions, I can answer them now. And if not, then thank you very much for watching and have a great day. All right. Oh, thank you for the applause. I appreciate it. Means a lot. Thank you very much for watching. I really, really means a lot. I'll keep sending these out, and I really hope they help you. And yeah, have a great day. I'll see you soon.